Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Cropper here. This is Horvey from YouTube. His name's Greg Horvey, of course. And he is the primary investor in my school at this point. I have only one other, so there's not a huge team of them. And he was the first investor on the scene. So we're going to ask him a few questions now about stuff that you might find interesting. So what educational credentials, or what is your background in education that gives you the authority to decide to invest in a school that's going to try to change children? Why do you have the ability to decide that?
Well, as far as my credentials go, I went through the whole school system. I know how bad it is to some degree, and I went through college. But as far as being able to tell that I think it's a good investment, it was partly from both your YouTube videos, seeing the results where you hold up their sheets or their math sheets and show how bad they did initially, and then show how better they were doing, and seeing how they're getting into long division when they could barely add 2 plus 2 and stuff like that. And then of course I went down there and saw you teach them to a bit, seeing them jump up out of their seats trying to answer a math question first and stuff like that, and how they could answer all the history stuff. So it was basically a combination of seeing the success and seeing the style of teaching. But not only is he teaching the values that I like, he is also teaching in a method that works.
So your authority to choose whether or not this is an appropriate school to invest in comes from knowledge about what needs to happen in education abstractly. You went through the schools, and you visited the school and saw that it was actually working on the ground.
Right. Without a gymnasium, without a big computer lab.
And you had sent contributions without any question of repayment. And at what point did you become an investor? How did that come about?
Well, initially, I wasn't an investor of the school, of course. I was an investor of just more YouTube videos. If you remember, way back then I said I'd give you $1 for every video you make that I called a croppumentary, and then $2 for any Greek croppumentary you make.
This was the...
And that spawned the Greek series, I think.
Impetus for the Greek series, which ran to 40 videos before I was done.
And then when I saw you start getting students, I, after the second or third student I said I'd give you $100 for every student you took on, up until a certain point. And then that's where the real investment comes in. I think that's what you asked me, just how I got started.
Yeah. And so at some point during that I said you're definitely on board as an investor if the school ever happens.
Right. And I said that I would support it. I was in a position where I was making plenty of money. And
yeah, that leads into our next question. Why did you choose to invest in this project rather than another, for example?
Yeah. Well, Joran Brooke said that you have to work, with the state the culture's in. It's hard not to try to do something, to try to fix it for your own future and stuff like that. So I thought, yeah, I do want to try to fix it. But I also know that, I have a job that I'm making a good amount of money, and the job's not exactly what I want to do. So I want to try to find, I'm doing a lot of more art stuff. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, for a career. And while I can make money with computer stuff right now, and the computer programming things. And if I then took also my energy and split it into trying to be an activist of some sort and trying to fix the culture, I wouldn't be able to work on, looking for that thing I want to do with my life. So this gives me a way of doing what I want to do, but also, working towards my future by having you do the physical work of changing the culture, making intelligent kids and stuff like that. And it allows me to do also what I want.
And what you have so far gotten the skills to do in your...
Yeah,
and you're looking at
my life getting skills. I spent
you're
my life...
looking at other skills. You're a young guy. You're not about to die or anything. So.
Right. I spent my life up until now, doing computer programming. It's starting to get a bit boring, so I'm looking into other things. And this lets me support my future in terms of the state the culture's in, by just giving money towards it, basically.
Yeah,
it's something I can directly help and be an active part of without having to actually get up and do it myself.
Right, and investing some certain amount you have, what would you say to people out there who are interested in donating or investing, whether it's a good idea or a good investment for the future as you see it? Why would you say this is a good car company to try to make float, let's say?
Right. Well, you have to look at the current state of education right now. I mean, sure, ARI is putting a lot of books into it, but still the methods and the very essence of what it is right now is what's destroying it. Since it's public and since there's all these progressive ideas being, puked into it, you have to do something, right? You have to do something to fix that before, throwing Ayn Rand books into the schools, ARI is great for doing that.
Couldn't hurt.
Right, it's going to help.
Right.
But it has to be fixed also at the root. And there's only one school I know of that's really doing that. That's Van Damme Academy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in, one state and one area.
And what state is that in?
California.
Right.
Yeah. And so this puts another one on the opposite side of the world, opposite side of the country.
How Americocentric of you.
Yeah. And then, so if you expand that, expand the actual school methods and getting certain values with, wanting to learn, wanting to know things, getting students with ambition to learn, ambition to do well in life, that's got to come from the bottom up. You can't just, you can to some degree just give a lot of books, and the more ambitious ones will see, Atlas Shrugged and go, wow, this is right. But there's going to be a lot that aren't, that could have been, if they were taught, when they were younger, that they should want to be ambitious about learning, that it's okay to be ahead of the class, that it's not a duty to learn, that it's good for you, and stuff like that. And actually know it, not only on an intellectual scale. You could probably tell a kid how it's good for him, but he still won't feel like it, because he didn't have it from the bottom up to get also the emotional support of knowing that this is what I want to do.
Right, so the intelligent people up in high school and college are few and far between, and you think there could be many more of them if we started them a little early on reasonable curriculum.
Yeah, it's hard to find. I went, in college, at one point, I knew about Atlas Shrugged, I knew about objectivism, I read some stuff, I was like, yeah, it seems right, but I didn't actually get the motivation to read more into it until I looked at everybody around me. I thought, man, they really don't like what they're doing. They don't look happy. There's only one person that seemed like he was actually happy with what he was doing, and he's the one who showed me Atlas Shrugged at some point. And so that's when I decided to read it and really got into it. So
the only person you knew who enjoyed life was trying to get you to read Ayn Rand.
Yeah, he didn't find me soon before that. But there were some people who kind of enjoyed what they did, but they also had like this duty bound. They hated doing certain things in their life, and everybody, I used to hang out at this computer lab, and everybody in it, be playing games or something, but they didn't look happy.
Right.
They're just miserable, duty-bound looking misfits.
I just have to drop something in which I'm sure you're aware of. I'm not going to be teaching Ayn Rand to anyone under like 14.
Right.
So you're not saying that you support this school because Atlas Shrugged is going to be read to kindergartners.
No, the values I'm saying aren't particularly like objectivism, but it's more of the ambition for learning, that learning's good, that, reading all sorts of history and knowing the basic, science, math, history, the basic curriculum.
And plus knowing how to read, for example.
Yeah, knowing how to read and having the motivation to do all that. That's more the values I'm talking about here, and those will, I think, in my opinion, undoubtedly lead to objectivism or something objective-ish, at least, to where someone will say, what we need today in our culture is a moral atmosphere where people say, do something for your good, what about me? And the only way you can get that is people who are ambitious about life and know how to enjoy it. And the only way to do that is to know how to learn and love learning.
Well, if you have any more questions for him, put them in the comment section. Get in line, take a number.